All right, we got to talk about Star Wars Outlaws. Going to talk a little bit about the numbers and also about the gameplay. There's some official footage out there from Ubisoft as well as some stuff from third-party creators. And boy, is that footage different from the official version. It almost seems like they're running different builds. Like the official footage is just a separate build completely from what we're seeing in the wild, just based on the mechanics that I'm seeing and some of the interactions that some of these players are running into. But yeah, I've got a video that I wanted to show with that respect, and I'm going to link that video in my description just so you can check out the guy's channel. He seems to be very enthused about it. He's got some good commentary. Personally, I'm on a pass for this game. To be perfectly honest, I'm going to pass on this one, just because of the mechanics that I'm seeing and some of the other stuff that I've kind of seen about this game. Doesn't seem like my kind of thing. But like I said, I do like to talk numbers, and it's going to be kind of tough to get into that, but we're gonna persevere and check those out as well. But before I do, I just wanted to kind of go over some of the pricing and what their little plan here is and some theories on why. So obviously they've got the standard, the gold, and the ultimate editions, and they're incrementally more stuff. There's incrementally more stuff included with each edition. But then you can get the Ultimate Edition for a subscription to Ubisoft Plus, and that's for $18 a month. So it seems like that's what they're really trying to sell here, is to get you to sign up for their platform for their Ubisoft Plus. Because if they make a year out of this, if they can get a year out of $18 a month from you, then they're going to make more money here than they would even with the Ultimate Edition. But yeah, I mean, that's, again, if I was to make any recommendations, I would say buy this on the consoles. Buy it on Xbox or PlayStation on the store itself, because even if you get the PC version, I mean, how long is it going to be on Ubisoft's platform? How long is Ubisoft's platform even gonna persevere? Just based on the fact that Steam is kind of eternal, and there are some that are competing with Steam, like GOG and I would say even the Epic Store still. But Ubisoft is like way behind in that race, so I would not invest in anything on their front. Even the $18 a month, I don't know, it doesn't seem worth it to me. I'd rather buy it on Steam, but since I can't buy it on Steam or the Epic Store or GOG, I'd say console. Xbox or PlayStation is the way to go for this game if you want to get it. If you're not taking a pass on this game, that would be the way to do it. So let's just jump over to some of the numbers. And like I said, since it's not on Steam, we're not going to get real good data on this. And so the best I can do is do a comparison to another Ubisoft tentpole franchise, which is Assassin's Creed. The reason why I chose Assassin's Creed is because we have two fairly recent games out from Assassin's Creed, and they show a very stark difference between the old Ubisoft and the current Ubisoft, and I think we're going to see an even further progression from that as far as numbers go. So the other reason I'm choosing Assassin's Creed is because based on the gameplay of this game, it seems very similar to AC as far as like sneaking around and climbing and stuff, and there are similar mechanics. There's shared mechanics there. You could also make a comparison to Far Cry, but there's not a lot of Far Cry games out there, and they are very far apart from each other, so not a great comparison to base this on. So let's just jump over to Assassin's Creed and kind of take a look at the numbers. So we're going to start off with Odyssey. Now, Odyssey on release did fairly well. It had 62,000 simultaneous players on release, and then it obviously dropped off. We had like a free weekend that boosted it, another free weekend that didn't quite boost it so much, and it's been pretty stable after that. Anywhere between 7,500 and 14,000 concurrent users, and that is considerably, pretty much 5 years later. It's still got that kind of simultaneous users. And if you look at the estimate, it's estimating high at around 5.5 million, low about 3.7 million, and again down to the wish lists, you can see that it has climbed up to a pretty substantial number here, 323,000 simultaneous users, which is not bad at all. But yeah, that's Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And then a few years later, you can go over to Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and on Steam, it did remarkably worse. Its top was 15,000, whereas Odyssey was that 62,000. And even now, the older game, Odyssey, is outperforming simultaneous users to Valhalla. So Valhalla's peak right now is 5,900, and it goes down to 4,087. Whereas if you remember Odyssey, it was it was substantially higher, 14,000 down to 7,200. So yeah, big difference, 7,200 to 4,000, and estimated owners 715,000 to 1.2 million. So if we take the high number, 1.2 million versus that, that 5.5 million, 5.47 million, it's doing considerably worse, or it did considerably worse than Odyssey did. And that's just in the same franchise. Now, if you take that and extrapolate it another couple of years to Star Wars, you can pretty much estimate maybe it would come up to 750,000 on a high estimate of users of sales, and multiply that by 4 with the consoles factored in, and you'd get 3.5 to 4 million, give or take, total sales across all consoles and PC. But then you also have to figure in like the PC market's going to be severely diminished because an awful lot of people would buy it on Steam or Epic or GOG, but they're going to pass on the Ubisoft platform. So some of those will go over to console. A lot of them will just skip this game altogether, I think. So yeah, it's not going to be good. It's going to be maybe 750,000, probably closer to 500,000. Which would mean the high end of the estimate. I would put it at $1.5 million to 2 million sales, which is not good at all. 2 million for, let's say, a $70 game. That's not gonna cover the costs, I don't think, because I think this was a very expensive game to make, just based on what I'm seeing and the time put into dialogue and character animations and environment design, which the environments are pretty spectacular, actually. I'll give them that much. But the gameplay itself is horrific, and they didn't put any time, obviously, into that. Everything else is what got the focus on this game. So with that said, let's jump into that gameplay. Take a look at that, because that's going to be the most revealing part about this. And so we'll just take a look here and kind of do some commentary and skip around and whatnot. So you start off in this little kind of westernish looking town. Like I said, environment design, not half bad. I can't complain about the environmental design here or even further into the game. I'll bring it up again. Space combat, again, environmental design is good. However, the space combat itself is real rough. So we're gonna kind of fast forward a little bit here. Just want to get to where I want to get to. Yeah, we're getting there. Here we go. So these ships, they seem to die awfully fast. I mean, that was not long at all. Let me just rewind it again. So yeah, I mean, he took that out really quickly. So enemies are pretty squishy in this game. Also, if you notice, it seems like the auto aim is turned way up. It kind of clamps right in on that target where it needs to be. So that's a lot of automatic assistance just to make sure that you hit your target. I mean, I guess I'm just too old school for this, because back in the day, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, you didn't have any assistance at all on those games. That was all had to be you. And now it's turned up so much, it hardly even makes any sense to be worthwhile to go into ship combat. So I don't know. It's not my style. It's not my kind of game. And that is further evidence of that for sure. Going in further, you get into the base, and I do have to say that, again, the set design, the environmental design is top notch. A lot of this is very, very Empire space station looking, like just environmentally, like you get the feeling like Vader's going to walk out of one of those halls at any time. The shiny floors and everything, very, very well done, in my opinion. But again, going back to the mechanics, it falls flat on its face with mechanics. And here's one of the big ones that people were very unhappy with, which is stormtroopers getting knocked out, even though they have stormtrooper helmets on, which shouldn't let them be knocked out so easily. So you use your little creature to distract him, and then she clobbers him. And it's like he just knocks right out, no problem whatsoever. Now, and then she uses the stun gun on that guy. I guess the stun gun has a recharge, so you can't use it more than once in rapid succession. It has to recharge. Um, but I mean, going on that, I would say that if you had the stormtroopers only be able to be knocked out by the stun gun, and they couldn't be knocked out by a blow to the head, I think that would have been a way better mechanic. I think that would have made more sense, and it would have added some difficulty and some challenge to this game. But I guess that's probably why they didn't do it, is because that would make it too hard. And this is definitely a lowest common denominator style game. Seems like very much go from point A to point B, do this, do that, do it in exactly how they want you to do it, and not veer off any degree from where you're supposed to be. It seems very much like an interactive movie. You just pushing the right button sequences to make the things happen that they want to happen, and that's as far as it goes. There is, that's kind of cool. You're able to steal a grenade from that guy, and she tosses it over, which, if you notice on the top right, do not raise alarm, and we're tossing grenades around and things are exploding and no alarms going off. It's like, again, stealth mechanics are not this thing's strong suit for sure. Because, you would think that would alert someone and raise some suspicion, and yet nothing happens. Like, you just go right back into stealth. Again, kind of a failing on that front. So again, another thing is the computers. So you have this like little mini game. It's kind of like a match 4 type of thing, where you guess the sequence, and once you guess the sequence correctly, then you can get into the computer system. So very simple game, very lowest common denominator. Like, only 4 symbols is pretty low, pretty easy for this kind of a game. And you'd expect, again, that to be a little more difficult, a little more challenging. But I guess, again, lowest common denominator, you got to get to the point where you need to get. And since you have to access the computer, I guess that's why they have it that way, that they have it that easy. So a lot of that stuff is kind of the same thing over and over again. Like, they're really designing this thing down to a basis, and not too terribly complex. So for example, you send your creature in here to blow up that thing, and again, doesn't raise the alarm, doesn't raise any suspicion. People are shooting, and you're firing off the thing, and firing off your stun gun at this guy, and it's like nobody sounds the alarm, nobody gets any suspicion whatsoever on this. So yeah, that's kind of a big problem as well. This hangar bay is fantastically well designed. I do appreciate that. That's very nice. Very Empire-esque, and shiny hallways and all. I mean, that looks like, just like you'd expect Vader to come out of there, or Obi-Wan doing their lightsaber duel or something. It looks very Empire Strikes Back, New Hope-ish. So that's, that part is good. I like that. And again, another callback to the grappling gun. So kind of like a callback to Jedi there. So they do have some good points to this game. There is some good stuff, and then there's the bad stuff and another bad stuff. I mean, I'm just running across them left and right here, but scout droid running patrol inside of the station. I mean, scout droids are supposed to be sent onto planets for the purpose of scouting, and their whole design is so that they can enter the atmosphere from space and go and scout out planetary surfaces. I mean, at least that was the original design. Obviously, they've changed since then quite a bit, but having them sit there and do patrol duty and be basically moving cameras, that's kind of dumb. And even as moving cameras, I mean, it looked like he was looking right at you, and yet no alarm was raised, no suspicion, no nothing. So yeah, the stealth is very rough. And then again, Stormtrooper gets knocked out, but she was like whiffing it. She wasn't even hitting the guy. So the animations even have a lot to be desired in this. They're not really connecting, and you would think, all right, an indie title you could forgive it, even a AA title you could forgive it, but this is Ubisoft. This is a AAA studio. They should be able to do a little bit of work there to combine animations with procedural processing to connect from, from the animation to the actual target and contact the guy, but I guess not. I guess that's a little too far. And then yeah, this is the other thing I really wanted to talk about was the you run into this guy, this floating head in a jar, but the animation on the main character is just terrible. I mean, this is in the game, and it's even worse than what we saw before. They did not do the character, the model justice at all. It doesn't even look like her. If you look at pictures of the actress that plays her, not even close. I mean, it was a real botch job there for sure. I mean, she looks more like the head in the jar than the original actress. So, yeah, it's rough. Across the board, gameplay was definitely taking a back seat. Modeling and animation, like facial animation especially, is just, it ain't there. You'd expect more from a AAA studio than this, and it's not happening. It's not even close. Another thing I just noticed was, I mean, it's kind of cool to have the bubbles on his face and all, but they're not moving. They're just stuck onto the model. It looks like, yeah. So those little, I don't know. It looks like they're just air bubbles, stuck onto his face, and they're just part of the model because they don't move. They don't shift. You'd figure as he talks they would detach and reattach, and more would come up and stick to his face or something. But no, more lazy design, I guess. Maybe I'm just expecting too much from a AAA studio, but a AAA studio like Ubisoft, you would expect more from this. But it is what it is, and like I said, it's very much go from point A to point B, do this, do that, and don't divert at all from your plan, because there's nothing else out there, and especially in combat, it seems very linear as well, to a certain degree. I mean, all right, so she clobbers this guy, knocks him out through his stormtrooper helmet again, and then like a little further along, you can kind of see when she gets deeper into combat here. It's quite a bit further on. Let me just skip ahead. All right. So here you go. Here's a little bit of combat. So you can kind of see they don't seem to be very intelligent AI for sure, and they almost seem pre-programmed. Like they have certain directions they need to go in, and like that guy seems like he's programmed to run away. Like, why would he run away? He should just be shooting at you. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Like the AI design seems like it's on a track. It's not AI that sees a threat and reacts to it. It's an AI that goes along a pre-programmed set of instructions to try to look like it's AI and not actually be AI. But it is what it is. Either that or it's really, really terrible bot design. That could be too, because we've seen footage of really badly implemented bot design in this game. So it could be that too. You don't know. It just seems like to me, and I know Stormtrooper aim is terrible, is a meme and all that, and ha ha ha. But I mean, they can't hit squat. They really, the amount of shots that actually hit you are few and far between in this game. And it seems like, again, they dumbed it down. They made it easier so that you would have an easier time getting through these levels, as opposed to having any significant challenge where you'd have to, restart it and try again and keep getting better and keep improving and keep iterating. But yeah, interactive movie for sure. And listen, I mean, I'm 99% sure that the guy that's playing this, he is not playing this on easy mode. I think this is at least normal mode. So I can't imagine what easy mode looks like, if there is such a thing. But yeah, this just seems far too easy for me, and lacks any significant challenge, lacks any degree of having to try and to biff it and then try again and keep getting better at it. Like there's no learning curve, there's no skill improvement, there's no skill involved, there's no ability to kind of think for yourself even, because it's all step A, step B, step C, and you're just supposed to go where they tell you to go and do the things that they tell you to do, because it is an interactive movie and it doesn't have anything besides that, or at least that's my impression of it. Again, I could be wrong, and honestly, if you enjoy this kind of a game more power to you. This is definitely that kind of game. So if that's your bag, if you like the interactive movie style games, more power to you. I mean, you've got a whole lot of them to choose from because most of them are interactive movies these days. So, you're eating good. Everybody else is not. Yeah. So anyway, that's what I got for you guys. That's Star Wars Outlaws. Like I said, it's going to be a pass for me. But if you enjoy these kind of things, more power to you. Enjoy it. And yeah, I will talk to you guys later.